Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, John Nye, and Josh All.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast. My name is Derek Frisbee from DO Sports, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Hall of Fame game and kind of doing a quick preview / what I want to see in the Washington game, which I will be there. I will be there in person. Cannot wait. But before we do, please be sure to check out the Dawgs podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, or X, whichever one it is for you. Mine switched to X, and it's so weird. But please be sure to follow us on all those platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the video. You'd be helping us out a lot. Like the video. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. And if you hit that notification bell, you will be notified every time a new video is dropped. And become a member. It's super cheap. And that's one of the ways for you to show how much you support us here at the Dawgs podcast, 99 cents a month. And you get some fancy stickers in the chat. So on top of that, last thing here, join the Patreon. JoinTheDawgs.com is where you want to do that, because fantasy football is starting. We are very, very close to the NFL season kicking off, right? We're in the preseason right now, going to be drafting, and hopefully I can do better than I did last year. But if you want to be a part of that, you got to do it. JoinTheDawgs.com. Join it. You will be in a fantasy league. There's going to be a couple different leagues, and we will make sure that you get in. And if you want to get your voice heard on the show, thedawgspodcast.com, you can leave a voicemail, and we will let you know what we think about what you think. You can also leave an intro on there, so be sure to do that. But with that being said, the Hall of Fame game was obviously last Thursday, and the Browns won. So I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit worried that we were, of course, going to do the most Browns thing ever and lose the Hall of Fame game where Joe Thomas is being inducted, right? That's the most Browns thing of all time, would be for us to lose that game. And it started off looking that way. Very bad start on offense. Defensively, it was solid. We held the Jets to field goals to start the game for the most part, and was looking pretty good. And then finally, when Kellen Mond left the game, none other than Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, who I'm calling him Dog Thompson-Robinson, because that's just what he is. I did a video talking about him, and for you guys who don't know a whole lot about DTR, go watch that. There's a lot that dives into him. You can almost kind of think of him like UCLA's version of JT Barrett for Ohio State. And I'm not a big fan of JT Barrett, but in terms of what he did at Ohio State and just kind of the records that he broke and kind of setting the tone as far as leadership and everything like that, it's very similar with DTR. But DTR came in and it reminded me of the Thursday night football game against the New York Jets when Baker Mayfield came in, and you saw the energy on both sides of the football just increase. Everybody started playing harder. Everybody started just caring, it seemed like. And for DTR, I felt the same here in this game. He came in and it was just a new energy, a new life. And obviously we know now he brought the Browns back and we won that game. So DTR on the day went 8 for 11, 119 yards. He had a passer rating of 124.1, and he had one passing touchdown. But those numbers, as good as they are, don't tell this full story. Because for me, and we're just going to dive into the Hall of Fame game first, and then kind of talk about what is to come with this Washington game and what I want to see. But DTR, the biggest thing that I noticed was just the style of offense. And the best part about him and why the Browns picked him, because there was a lot of people confused why the Browns would pick him over some other positions. And I was not mad about the selection of DTR because he is so similar to Deshaun Watson. That's the number one thing that I thought watching that game. And it's crazy because, yes, he's more of a college football veteran quarterback, coming into the league, but he did things at the NFL level that you don't see a lot of rookie quarterbacks do. And even though he had a lot of good rushes in that game, it wasn't as if he bailed from the pocket immediately. We always see these rookie quarterbacks come into the NFL and just bail and use their legs. And DTR didn't. Even when there was no pass available, he still stepped up into the pocket, reevaluated, and then took off. Where again, most quarterbacks get happy feet, most quarterbacks get nervous, and that's a really good sign because, in my opinion, I think that's something you can look at as soon as this season. I think DTR, if it were up to me, I love Josh Dobbs, but I would be comfortable rolling with DTR as QB2. Just because the offense doesn't have to change, and he's got to show more. And that's what I want to get to with this Washington preview. But if he continues what he's shown already, we have something very special. And it's a great sign. And I think we're going to see even more of that. But obviously DTR is the number one story. But on the day, the Browns rookies were fantastic. Cam Mitchell was incredible. 79.4 grade from PFF. Dawgs Jones, who I want to dive into a little bit more, but I just talk about this real fast. 35 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures. Luke Whippler, 26 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures, and he had a run grade of 84.3. Cedric Tillman, 2 receptions, 35 yards, was very good. Every single Browns rookie that played in the Hall of Fame game, I thought was tremendous. And that is a fantastic sign for the future of this team because the guys we picked in this year's draft aren't necessarily the immediate impact guys that you need. But if Tillman can come in and be an immediate impact, and yeah, 2 receptions, 35 yards, that's not like mind-blowing numbers, but he looked apart. He looked like he belonged, and he was aggressive. That one play where he just threw the defender off of him, everybody thought that was going to be an offensive pass interference, but Tillman was smart enough to realize that it was defensive pass interference, and him having to throw him off of him gets that call. And those things you can't really teach. That's just natural football instincts and IQ. And just stuff like that, and his size and his route running that you saw, yes, in the Hall of Fame game, but if we can get bits and pieces of that heading into the season and throughout the season, that's going to be really special. And considering guys like David Bell played and if you didn't pay attention, you had no idea he played. Just Tillman's impact as a whole that he had is a very good sign. But I don't want to keep harping on the Hall of Fame game, but I wanted to address this before we move on. Dawgs Jones was absolutely spectacular. And again, my criticisms with Dawgs Jones, a lot of it is the off-the-field stuff, the weight management, the work ethic, all those sort of things. But I have to, I'm not going to revise anything I said. And one of the things that I said was I'm very concerned at the next level with him going up against these edge defenders who are fast, who are shifty, and kind of have a lot of finesse moves. And the guys that he was going up against were really, really good. The rookie the Jets just got out of, I believe it was Iowa State, Will McDonald, and then Jermaine Johnson. And the guys that he was going up against were not slouches. And he was dominant. He was dominant over those guys. And the thing there, we'll see. I want to see that continue. But as far as a first initial reaction, unbelievable. From Whippler and Dawgs Jones. Unbelievable. So, I just want to kind of do a quick recap there. But I want to move on. I want to talk about what to expect and what I want to see this game versus Washington. Attention Browns fans in Ohio, we have an unbeatable NFL preseason offer for you from Caesars Sportsbook. New customers can get their first bet insured up to $1,250 by using our code DAWGSFULL while signing up. Not only will your first bet be completely insured, but you'll also be directly supporting the podcast. Isn't that great? So if you have not already joined the Caesar Sportsbook community, now is the perfect time to make your move. Just remember to use our code DAWGSFUL during sign-up and place that first bet. This offer is only available for new customers who are 21 and older and are physically present in Ohio. Please gamble responsibly. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer. So, a couple of things. Jerome Ford is hurt and obviously will not play. It's unclear right now where the Browns are, or what we're looking at as far as during the season, if Jerome Ford is going to miss a couple games or what's happening there. Same thing with Isaiah Thomas and Alex Wright. Both of them are injured. So let's start off with that edge room first. Now, there is a huge opportunity for Isaiah McGuire, who was the Browns pick out of Missouri, who I think is better than Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas. And he did not play in the last game, and I'm not sure if he's going to play against Washington or not, but I think he should. If he's healthy enough to play, he should play, because he has an opportunity here where that edge room behind Myles Garrett, Za'Darius Thomas, and Okoronkwo is very much open. And I think one of those guys, if not a couple of those guys, are going to get playing time. And for McGuire, this is his time to prove it. The preseason, you can't take a whole lot of, can't take a lot from it, but as far as working out this depth and trying to figure out who makes this team, who doesn't. Some people think Isaiah Thomas won't make the team. It's too early to kind of see how that room shakes out. But as far as just that situation, I think it's a great opportunity for Isaiah McGuire to step up and kind of show what he can do. Don't want to see injuries at all, but it is nevertheless a good opportunity. So another thing that I want to see continue, Siaki Ika was great in the Hall of Fame game. His size was noticeable. He was impacting plays. He had a huge stop on 3rd and 1 and forced the Jets to either kick a field goal or punt. I can't remember, but he played very well. And if he continues that, he could have the edge to be defensive tackle number 2, because I was not very impressed from what I saw from anybody else in that room, at least in that game. And so far, one game into the preseason, Ika looks like he should be the number 2. And I think same with that edge room. You know who the top is. It's obviously Dalvin Tomlinson. But outside of Tomlinson, it's wide open how this shakes out. So I would like to see Ika come out and have a really, really good rest of the preseason. And I think against Washington is going to be a good opportunity to do that. I know Washington has a solid offensive line. Starters probably aren't going to play a whole lot, if at all. But nevertheless, getting reps, getting in the game and making an impact, as stupid as it sounds, but even in the preseason, it's a big deal. So, just kind of as a whole, I want to see Tillman more. I want to see David Bell get involved. I want to see consistency, what we've seen so far from DeJuan Jones and from Luke Whippler. I would like to see more out of the secondary. Ronnie Harrison, and D'Anthony Bell, Tanner McAllister. None of those guys really looked apart in the Hall of Fame game. And I want to see something there. I want to see something from one of those guys who's going to step up, who is going to make an impact. And I feel like the defense as a whole was much improved. You noticed, if you're a football nerd like I am, just the run sets and just the schematic side of things was much improved just from last year. And again, offensively, you're not going to see the Browns offense in the preseason completely. You're not going to see the Browns defense completely in the preseason. But you will see bits and pieces. You will see the breadcrumbs of what will be the Browns' offense and defense as far as the scheme changes and how things are going to work. And for me, I think looking at how the defense played, if you just think in your mind, okay, let's replace Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas with Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith, and the guys in the middle with Dalvin Tomlinson. In the secondary, you replace them with those guys. I think this is going to be a much improved team. I think we've seen great signs so far. It's just about continuing it. And I think against Washington, it's hard to tell because the Jets have a lot of really good young players. And you can't really judge the preseason. I've said that multiple times here. But Washington is interesting because the quarterback situation. Will we see Jacoby Brissett play in Cleveland again? Will that happen? That would be nice. And offensively, they got some weapons. Defensively, they got some dogs on defense. And the preseason's all about depth matchups. So for me, it sounds simple to say this, and I know people are going to roll their eyes when I say this, but it's just consistency. It's just I want to see the same things that we saw in the Hall of Fame game. DTR just balling, Tillman looking dominant, Ika looking dominant, Dawand Jones, like all these guys who performed. I just want to see that consistency so we get a better idea of what we have there. And you stack a good performance on another good performance, and that builds up. And it builds up within the trust of the coaching staff, too. And last thing, wrapping up here, and I don't think it necessarily needs to happen in this game versus Washington. I want to see Dawand Jones get reps at left tackle because Jedrick Wills, and it's not his fault necessarily, he's going up against Myles Garrett, but he's not looked good. And I think that it's time to really take a deep look at replacing Jedrick Wills. I would have traded him possibly this offseason or this past offseason. And the Browns picked up his fifth-year option, which from a financial standpoint is smart, but he's just not worth keeping on this team. And I think the Browns need to figure out what that plan is at left tackle going forward. And why not play around with a guy like Dawand Jones? Throw him out there at left tackle and just see what he can do. The Browns, he played, I feel like, the whole game. Same thing with Whippler. And if you're going to do that, getting reps on reps on reps, why not switch it up? I just want to see it. How does Dawand Jones look at left tackle? That would be very interesting to me. Outside of that, I told y'all Kellen Mond sucks. You should have known that. So if that surprised you, then that's your fault. But yeah, it's just kind of getting through injuries and trying to get to the season as healthy as possible. Very scary with Jerome Ford and Thomas and Wright. Don't like to see those add up. So with that being said, I think that'll wrap it up here. Let me know your thoughts on the Hall of Fame game. I know we're moving towards Friday and the game against Washington. So what do you want to see? This was just kind of a quick recap and a preview, if you want to call it that. But nevertheless, what's your thoughts? Again, my name is Derek Frisbee from DO Sports. Please be sure to like this channel and drop a comment in the comment section, subscribe, and I want to know what you think. So till next time, go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.